Welcome to What the Podcast. My name is Joseph, also known as Fedra.
And I'm Rebecca, also known as Tetra.
And this podcast is something that we're pretty excited about. But basically, we are going to watch a movie and kind of give our first impressions on it. We have yet to see the movie tonight. I've seen it once before. Rebecca, you haven't, right?
That is correct.
But we got some reviews pulled up here. It's a quick summary, I guess, from somebody.
First, the name of the movie would be helpful.
Yeah, we need to show the name of the movie. We're watching Fireproof. That couple.
You're gonna confuse people.
Okay, we're watching Twilight.
We're watching Twilight.
Twilight Breaking Wind. No, not. It's the first Twilight, not the other sequels with the weird names. Breaking Dawn, New Moon, Breaking Dawn Part 3. All right, Rebecca's got a review pulled up, or a summary pulled up.
For those that don't know what this is.
Yeah, if you've never heard of Twilight, oh boy, by Lady N1. All right. Bella Swan is a clumsy, kind-hearted teenager with a knack for getting into trouble. Edward Cullen, on the other hand, is an intelligent and good-looking vampire who's trying to hide his secret. Against all odds, the two fall in love. But will a pack of bloodthirsty trackers and the disapproval of their family and friends separate them?
Good question.
That's a great question. All right.
According to Rotten Tomato, critics gave this movie a score of 49% with an audience score of 72.
49%, that's close to 50. It's still rotten, according to this, so critics still didn't like it. I remember this movie being panned. Like, absolutely destroyed.
Same.
All right, are there...
Most people I knew really hated this one.
Are there any reviews or anything?
Got a couple here.
All right.
According to Laramie, one of the critics, my hope is that the sequels are actual attempts at movies.
That's great.
The world doesn't need any more toothless cinema.
Thank you, Laramie, from whatever newspaper you were from.
And a couple of audience reviews here.
Uh-huh.
One from Wildly. It was a pretty good introduction to the series. I actually enjoyed it. Meanwhile, Carlos said, it is shocking that some people could possibly think that such a sexist story is romantic. But maybe it could have been a bit better if it weren't for its corny dialogue and weak performances. That helped make this a schmaltzy teen flick. Schmaltzy.
Thank you, Carlos, for the use of schmaltzy in a sentence.
So, please, only the hardcore fans and no one else.
Did you just... Wait, is that how you wrote it? So, please.
To please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, to please... Okay. So, based on those reviews, I'm thinking we're going to watch a movie that is divisive.
Probably.
I don't remember much about it. I watched it one time before, and I watched it because I wanted to be able to justify hating it. Because when this thing was in its heyday, I remember it coming out in theaters, and everybody wanted to see it.
Absolutely everybody.
It was like the biggest craze since Hunger Games. It was a Hunger Games before Hunger Games. Like, it was insane. Do you remember the Twi-Moms?
The Twi-Moms?
Google Twi-Moms. You should, look it up. Basically, these ladies, they were, Twilight fans, but they were moms. And look at the images, for some of these. Images? Yes. Go to images and see some of these ladies.
Oh, gosh.
I know, right? There are these and they dress like teenagers, and they had signs. It was insane. That'll be the image for the podcast. Yep, that's the image for the podcast right there.
Perfect.
Yeah, just look at the image of the podcast. That's what it is. That's the thumbnail. But yeah, these ladies, and I don't know why. Because I watched the first movie, and it's nothing special. I would not be surprised if, Rebecca, you walk away going, what? Anyway, enough about, me seeing it. What was your initial impression and understanding of this movie?
Wow, this is stupid. Aren't vampires supposed to eat people?
Did you not read the book?
No.
Because I feel like the book is required reading for this movie.
I did not read the book. I know nothing about the book and the series other than I thought it was really stupid and still do.
So you're not...
I like my monsters to eat people and not kiss them.
Are you... Are you the least bit excited to see this?
No, not really. But let's do it anyway.
All right, with that being said, we will see you after we watch the movie. Take care. Enjoy. Watch it yourself. See what you think. It's on, what is it on? Amazon Prime? Is that how we're watching it? Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. Go watch it. Not a sponsor, but could be a sponsor. All right, see you after the break.
And we're back.
We just saw Twilight.
They are where?
Oh, yeah. We recorded the whole intro thing.
What are your thoughts? Let's jump right in.
Where do I start? I really did not like that first half. Really, the first half. It was just really
Bland?
Yeah, bland. I mean, I think the way I kept describing when we were watching it was like a self-insert fanfic. It really feels like somebody like wrote this and wrote it to where like, because everyone's fawning all over Bella and all of that.
And another thing that didn't help was the Instagram-like filters they kept putting over it. They favored the green one a lot. I think they were trying to make it feel mysterious and dark and brooding.
I think what it was because if you remember, they were talking about like way in the beginning. They were like, "Oh, it almost never shines. The sun almost never shines here. It's so rainy," and they were kind of going for that like dreary,
like gloomy.
Yeah. But there were several times when the filter was still on, even when it was supposed to be sunny. Like the scene when they're up at the top and Edward's like, lol, I'm a diamond vampire. It's the the filter is still there. It was dumb. I don't know why they chose to go with that in particular and not because there were several scenes where they didn't turn the filter on, some of the quieter moments, like the end scene with the prom and when they were at the restaurant and when she was in her room. It actually looked like a good movie. It looked good. The colors were done well.
We finally got some pretty colors and some nice aesthetics.
Well, I wonder how that was originally shot. Because her truck is red. Like the people were wearing colorful stuff, right? I feel like
Her friend was often wearing pink, like a bright pink.
Yeah,
that would have been a lot nicer.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick's character. She was wearing like a lot of pink. I mean, there were just so many good colors here. Plus, you're in a forest. It's supposed to look heckin' pretty. And yeah, you can make it look gloomy, but just this weird green tint didn't... It just made the whole thing feel unappealing. Is that are we done talking about visuals? Because I've got so much more to say about visuals.
Keep going.
Do you have anything else to say about visuals?
I mean, they were okay. They were nothing special. They alone are not enough for me to care about anything.
Right.
And visuals are very important for a movie or really any kind of media.
Yeah. I did the camera work was also
all over the place.
It was all over the place. I don't think it could pick a style. Sometimes it felt like I was watching a Tim Burton movie. Sometimes it felt like the baseball scene was so weird. Like there was some cool effects, but then it was like just shot really weird. There's one scene where Bella was just standing there, and she's like talking, and the camera like starts from far away, and then it like wibbles around and kind of goes really close to her face for no reason. It's one shot, and it's like, were you playing with the lens there? Is that what you were doing?
And there's that one shaky cam right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they didn't do that again afterwards.
No, they never did it again. And I think that was supposed to be like the vampires hunting the deer in the beginning.
Yeah. It was weird, though.
Yeah, it was weird because it was inconsistent. They didn't do it again in the entire film. They also liked... Oh, remember the shot? So there's one scene where they're like on a school field trip, right? So they're all walking in a line through this greenhouse, and there's just one shot. I was so mad during the movie because it was framed really weird. There are two students in the foreground, and Edward and Bella are almost in the background.
Yeah, while they're on the field trip.
Right, and the extra who is basically in the focus, she's in the lower left third of the frame. You're like, okay, why am I looking at her? Because she's like front and center.
It's hard for your eyes not to be drawn to her.
And she looks like she's just an extra. She's not being directed at all, whatever. And it looks so crappy. I didn't get at all what it was. Like what they were going for there. Oh my gosh. I will say though, a lot of the practical effects were really good. I enjoyed the whenever Edward hits the truck, or when he jumps on top of like her wheel well and like kind of crunches it, and then he immediately jumps on it and pops it back into place. And in the end, like there was some good blood effects and like the breaking of mirrors, and like it looked like her bones got broken. It looked really good.
There were some pretty cool effects. A lot of the vampire effects were a little bit on the cheesy side, but that's kind of that time in film.
Yeah, I mean, like you said when we were watching, it's like Harry. It does look like Harry, like straight out of Harry Potter. Just kind of, ooh, look, I'm kind of flying, and you can kind of tell it's not real. But I kind of have a feeling that the effects will get better as the movies go on. Not that I have any desire to watch more of them. I feel like the effects will get better.
Hopefully so.
What are you? I don't have any. I don't know. I just don't have any like for the style that they used. I almost feel like this would have been better if just for like a comic book or something. I think it would have been better. You know, that sort of style.
Potentially.
You know, maybe a little bit more colorful.
Colorful, I think, would have served this very well.
Yeah. Anyway.
It didn't help that our two main characters were pretty emotionless.
Yeah, that, especially in the beginning. I mean, I know people complain a lot about this movie. And just about her performance in general.
A lot of the side characters, her dad, her teacher, were way more interesting than the main characters were supposed to care about.
Yeah, what made you like them more than the main characters?
Well, for one thing, they had emotion.
You're right. The dad did have emotion.
There's a lot of clever moments with them.
I like that her dad loves steak. It's like he's just a.
I feel like with little things like that, we know more about those characters than we know. Well, what is Bella like?
Salad, apparently. Spinach salad.
Well, what are her likes, her
interests? She's a vegetarian, I think. I'm not sure, but like all I ever saw her eat the whole movie was salad.
And besides Edward, what does she like?
But Becca, she likes Edward. That's the point of the movie. She likes Edward.
Speaking of Edward, he's a creeper. There's not much I can say about him other than he's a creeper.
Oh gosh, yeah, Edward. I like watching you when you sleep. I like watching you when you sleep. I mean, that's what. Who says that? Who
in
says
the first
that?
2 seconds of seeing Edward, there's so many red flags. Any sane person would have ran far away.
When we were watching it, like she walked by this fan, right, and you see him go, and he gets all creepy. He like wiggles around in his chair and he like looks at her. It's really weird. And I was like, what, did she like eat garlic or something? Is he? By the way, they never mentioned garlic or any other vampire weaknesses. Did you notice that like sitting in their house was like a sideways crucifix?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's so weird. Like, are you saying?
Well, to be fair, they kind of reinvented vampires for this movie.
Yeah, they did.
And I didn't think, just based on trailers I'd seen and what people had told me of it, I didn't think I would like this. But the vampires they created in this world were kind of intriguing.
Yeah.
It was a pretty unique take on the vampires themselves. I think the biggest problem I had with this movie was the romance.
But that was the entire movie. That was the
I'm
whole
aware.
point of the movie.
These small parts that weren't about that, though, the parts that were about these creatures, what they are, how they operate.
The things about the side characters, too. The moments with all the side characters, like her dad and stuff.
Some of the moments with the side characters. Everybody in that town was kind of freaky.
What?
The way they flocked around this new girl.
Oh,
and...
okay, yeah. well, that goes back to the whole self-insert fanfic kind of thing. Is like, it really does feel like she's a new girl in town, and everybody wants to be her friend.
But why? She's emotionless and does nothing.
Yeah, it's like...
She has no interests. She's pretty, but she's not the prettiest girl in the school. They've set her up as a plain Jane kind of character.
They made the mistake of casting Anna Kendrick, who... Anna Kendrick would have made a far better Bella. Like, imagine Anna Kendrick as Bella.
That would have been pretty good.
That would have been a great one.
It also didn't help that their Bella most of the time was more pale than the vampires.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad makeup. That, like, the makeup on them, especially when they're first introduced, the makeup is really bad. If you watch that last prom scene, like, he looks like an actual person. I think they forgot to do the makeup, it's weird, man. Maybe it's because he had some of her blood when he sucked out the poison. That's just, yeah. But back to what you were saying like 5 minutes ago with the vampires. Actually, I liked the vampires. The vampires were interesting. Mm-hmm. I liked the powers that they had, like how each vampire has their own
some kind of variation of powers instead of.
Yeah, like his sister can like see the future, and like their dad, quote unquote, like has extremely good control. Or, like, the guy, even the bad guy that was tracking them had, like, extreme senses. We all know that they have some...
And Edward, of course, had the super speed.
Well, but he also could read minds. Mm-hmm. Which is actually kind of a weird power.
He wasn't the only one that could do that, though.
Really? Was there anybody else that could read minds?
I think one of the others was able to as well, weren't they?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Maybe they were all different.
What did their mom do? Do you remember? I don't think they ever said.
I'm not sure.
And then whatever his brothers, quote, I say brothers and mom and sister, but like.
Well, they created their own family unit.
Yeah, they're vampires. They're vampire. It all works. Anyway, but yeah, I think that I like what they did with the vampire lore here. In changing it up and making it different. You know what? I'm going to say it. I don't mind the sparkles. I didn't mind it. I was like, it's kind of dumb, but like,
it's definitely a little cheesy.
I'm not mad about it. I don't, like, her dialogue makes it dumb. Your skin is like diamonds. Her dialogue makes it dumb.
Yeah, that was a very cheesy line right there.
And like, otherwise, it looks like a mirage. It looks like, you know, if you were walking around in plain daylight, you saw something that looked a little weird, you looked over and someone was like, looked like a mirage, like, that's a little weird. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a bad thing if you're a creature of the night that eats people. Yeah. Right? So it's a disadvantage. We don't want to have them die when they hit sunlight, but at the same time, we need some way for them to be weak in some way. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a good way to do it. Was
making them stand out.
Yeah. Gives them some visual indication. So rather than it's like a physical, hey, you're going to die if you go into the sunlight, it's you're going to be caught and they're going to kill you if you go into the sunlight. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like that's a good way to tackle it. Not that they tackled it well, but it's a good way to tackle the issue of how do we make a vampire more formidable or less formidable, I guess. Yeah. But I think we've kind of talked a lot about what we don't like. And the few things that I liked about it honestly take place in like the last third of the movie. Especially like when they start going after the dumb baseball scene, which I think is kind of stupid. It's okay. It was kind of dumb that they had to like crack their bat, and it sounds like thunder.
Yeah.
That was a little dumb.
It was cheesy.
It was pretty cheesy. I still stick with the idea that
if you were to hit ball, because it does regular baseball and a metal baseball bat.
Yeah.
If they had to hit it that hard, they would have destroyed the ball. If they hit it hard enough for that.
It's a special vamp. See, they bit the ball, so the ball has like super strength.
I don't think that's how that works. A ball doesn't have blood.
That's how this world works. It has stitches. It's a Frankenstein ball.
It doesn't have blood. It doesn't work that way.
It does. It could work that way. I want it to work that way. No, but I mean, seriously, like, this is, I don't know, like, that whole scene I think was kind of silly. It showcased the vampire's powers, I guess, but it was still really silly.
Mm.
I do, though, after that, the movie actually becomes good.
That's where it starts getting really interesting.
Yeah.
Where we start seeing them trying to escape, trying to protect Bella. For a little bit there, you actually forget that Edward's a total creeper.
Yeah, right? You're like, oh, cool, he cares about her, and, like, you know, his family is like, look, like, I kind of almost wish that they did the whole, you know, this thing mates for life thing. Like, I kind of feel like that's what they were going for, but they were too scared to do it. I feel like here it would have worked. I feel like it would have worked well here with, like, you know, oh, this vampire, you know, like, when you're a vampire, you fall in love, after you're a vampire, you fall in love only once. You know, and so, like, to me, it would be a bigger deal, because Edward could just...
There's, 2 more movies?
Yeah.
There's time for that.
Oh, yeah, they might introduce that. I just feel like it would have made more sense to me why Edward was so weird in the beginning. Like, I get it. He's intoxicated by her scent.
Well, what's so special about Bella anyway? We've never given reason to...
I don't know.
Why she's special, why she's different. Why can't he read her mind? Is she some kind of creature herself?
I mean, that's a good thought. Maybe she's some kind of creature herself. But I don't think we know enough about the world. Like, actually, one thing I was thinking when I was watching the movie was that I feel like they should have spent more time on the mystery of, like, what vampires are, more of the mystery, because obviously it was hinted at extremely heavily that Jacob is a werewolf. I mean, I think most people know that because they've seen trailers and stuff, but it was hinted at very heavily.
But it was never followed up on in any way.
Right. It's a little weird. I mean,
they kind of left the movie a little bit open-ended.
Yeah, they did.
But compared to a lot of movies where you intended to have sequels, it kind of closed up a little too well.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it should have ended earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I think it should end earlier. What I was saying was the, the way that she kind of investigated the mystery of the vampires and the legend that Jacob told her and stuff. I liked that part. I thought that part was interesting. I kind of wish there was more of that in the movie. Mm-hmm. Just her investigating stuff. And that was interesting to me. Edward, however, like, jumping in and saving her from the drunk guys, that was actually pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. I kind of wish there was a little bit more of that. I think the worst scenes in the movie are when both of them are just together by themselves. Because when they have other people to play off of, they work well. There was a scene when they were together with their family, when Edward was with his family with Bella, and and his family was being kind of weird vampires, but it made sense because they were vampires and this is a human, and they
wanted to impress her.
Right. But, like, Edward, the way he reacted to them was like he was super embarrassed by his family. It was very genuine and very human, which is hilarious because he's a vampire. So to me, that was really good. Or the scenes with Bella and her father, her father is very tough and standoffish, and which is funny because Bella is also kind of standoffish.
And also Bella with her friends. Because her friends are, for movies in general, unusually understanding and caring.
Yeah.
That's something you don't see that often in TV and film.
Yeah.
So I did kind of like that, how understanding they were about her and what she wanted to do and how she was feeling.
You're right. normally there's a side plot of, oh, you ditched us for the boy, or you're after my man, or whatever, and then the girls make up in the end. Especially in movies, especially in like Disney Channel, which just feels like a more mature Disney Channel movie.
And I expected some of that, but there was none of that. They were all pretty supportive of each other, there for each other.
It was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Which
I appreciated that.
I will say, we can't talk about her friends without saying it really is super weird that the first day she's there, all the boys literally fling themselves at her.
And all the girls want to be her best friend.
Right? And you're like, Anna Kendrick's character shows up, they're playing volleyball, and Bella misses the ball, or she hits the ball and hits a jock in the back of the head, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly, Anna Kendrick's character, she's dressed in pink, she looks pretty popular, she shows up, and you think she's being sarcastic and kind of mean, but no, she's just being genuinely nice and wants to be her friend. And then Bella goes sits with her at lunch, and then they're best friends. But also before that, she met the weird and quirky yearbook guy, but the weird and quirky yearbook guy is also friends with the popular girl, but he also likes Bella. I don't get why everybody wants to be Bella's friend. She's this new person that randomly shows up toward the end of the school year in March. Like, that's really far into the school year for a new person to show up.
Yeah.
And I feel like if that happened, people would not immediately fling themselves at her. People would be nice, but they wouldn't fling themselves at her. Like, literally every scene when she first gets to the school is a guy comes up to Bella. A guy flirts with Bella. A guy gets ignored by Bella. You're right. That happens a bunch, but then there's Edward. Edward is different. I just took my glasses off and flipped my hair. You couldn't see that because it's a podcast, but I mean, seriously, that was the stupid cycle. And it's so clearly marketed. I don't want to say marketed because maybe it was written like this too, but it's so clearly trying to say, look, ladies, imagine this. Or however that meme goes. Seriously, it's like, look, ladies, you can be this girl that everybody likes. Rebecca, did you feel connected to Bella? Did you feel like she was representing you as a woman?
Not at all.
Bella represents me as a woman. It's so stupid. Bella is such a bland character.
She is.
I mean, and I get it. That's the intention. I completely understand when books and movies and comics do that. They make the character so bland that you can insert yourself in there. But if you're not willing to do that, it just becomes boring.
Mm-hmm. It does.
I think, honestly, the Rotten Tomatoes score was right on at 49%.
Mm-hmm.
It's there are some good moments. There are some good ideas. I would argue there's some really interesting ideas.
There were.
And things. But overall, it's just so bland. So boring.
I think they should have really taken a different angle with this story.
Yeah.
Made the romance part, honestly, a side plot.
I don't know how you could do that, though, because you're adapting a book that is a romantic book. So I don't know how you could adapt that without alienating your entire audience.
I'm talking about the story as a whole.
Oh, I gotcha. You're talking about the book and the movie.
Yes.
Gotcha.
When we're talking about the story, that's usually what I mean.
I see what you mean. I mean, I feel like Bella could be imagine this. This would be such a better movie. Imagine Bella is more of a Nancy Drew kind of investigative type person. Yeah, she's a little bit of a loner.
Taking a little bit longer for her to figure out the vampire thing. A little bit longer, a few more clues. And spend some time her trying to figure out what the heck is this guy.
I mean, I feel like a movie like I Am Number 4 does this sort of plot, but better. Way better. I mean, obviously that movie's different because instead of being from the perspective of Bella, it's from the perspective of the monster of Edward. The main character in I Am Number 4 is not from around here. We might get to that movie at some point, but I feel like in that movie, the girl discovering who he is a reporter. She's from the school paper. She does photos. She's an investigative type person. So it makes sense that she would be like, I figured it out. And Bella seems to be that way at first. But then Edward just kind of says, I'm going to follow you up to this mountain. And then, look, I sparkle. I'm an evil thing. I'm so ugly. I sparkle. Gosh, that scene's crappy. I mean, that scene is probably the one I think I've seen the most people riff on. Because it's probably...
so cheesy.
Oh, it's awful. It's one of the worst scenes in this movie. Like I said, if you're gonna watch this movie, just watch the latter half.
It was kind of weird too, because they go up to the top of this mountain. It's much brighter up there. You have this one random Disney-ized stream of light coming right through to this rock where he stands.
And then God said, "Let there be light on Edward." That didn't happen.
And then he just kind of stands on the rock, kind of majestically.
Yeah.
It's just so goofy.
I'm not gonna lie, the only thing I could think of when I was watching that was "Shine Bright Like a Diamond," that song from 3 years ago. No? Alright. Anything else, Beck? Final thoughts? Anything we haven't covered?
I think we've all covered it all. In summary, the visuals were kind of meh, unimpressive, uncolorful, uninteresting.
Bland.
The characters, the main characters, the ones we were supposed to care of, were boring.
Bland.
And the side characters made them look even more boring.
Right? Yeah.
And the story was just kind of okay. Overall, I guess I kind of agree with the critics' story. It's kind of middle of the road. It's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. If you want to watch a movie where you have a human and a non-human fall in love and there's superpowered fights, I would recommend I Am Number 4 over this any day. That's such a better movie than this is. It does the same plot, but better. I would give this one a pass unless you really, really want to see Twilight. I mean, I would give this a pass pretty much all the time. With that being said, thank you for watching or listening or wherever you consume this. Probably listening, I would assume.
Well, since we didn't do video, yeah, they would be listening. Have you seen this movie? If so, what did you think? Did you like it?
No.
Did you hate it?
Yes.
Why do you care? Why don't you care? Do you care at all?
No.
Leave a comment down below, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Goodbye.